What is up, everybody? It's your boy Said J back again with yet another Destiny exclusive video for all of you to enjoy. And this time around, what I wanted to do was go over the latest update on behalf of Bungie and Destiny, the galaxy, the universe, the realm that we love so much, and go a little bit over the weapon tuning that happened today as part of the update 2.4.0. That is correct. I didn't want to go over every single weapon that had changes to them, but what I wanted to do was go over some of the important ones that may be a little bit controversial, or that may be positive on behalf of your guardian, depending on where you stand and what your playstyle is. And so you can obviously go to the Bungie link, take a look at the full list of changes that went down in the weapon tuning update, and let me know what you think. But what I did want to go over was some of these weapons here that we tend to use on a heavy basis and how it's going to change your game style or play when you're either in Crucible or PvE, depending on where you play most. The first one that I wanted to go over, and is probably one of the more notable ones, is Thorn. And it's weird that Thorn in this update is going through some changes, because Thorn took a notable dive and nerf during one of the past updates here, in response to an outcry of people not enjoying particularly how the Thorn plays in PvP and in the Crucible. So I wanted to go over that to see what you guys think here. Here is what the Thorn has to say. It's pretty cut, clear, and dry here. Since we are bringing back the Thorn for Rise of Iron, it was worth reevaluating its place in the weapon ecosystem. What are the Thorn's strengths? Damage over time, which provides location information and health recovery delay, fastest family of hand cannon fire rate, and effectively best in class level range with Sended. Now, I would have agreed with all of this, with the exception of, again, the notable dive and nerf that it took during one of the past updates. I can't say that all of this is true at this point, considering the changes that were made in the past update and how the Thorn was weakened because of it and brought down in such a way that it was more tolerable for Guardians that were playing in PvP and Crucible. And so the changes that are going to take place for the Thorn are as follows. To avoid a repeat of year one, we decided to remove one of the elements from the equation. Reduced base range by 25%. Now, as a person, and I'm probably going to hear an outcry of this, but it doesn't matter because it's my opinion. You have yours, I have mine, this is mine. As a person who did not care about how the Thorn performed prior to its last nerf, I was fine with it. There was a general consensus that Thorn was just too OP in PvP and it needed to be nerfed, and I understand that from people. You go into somewhere, you go into a PvP area, and you want to go in and you want to have fun, and you're getting killed constantly by a weapon that you feel is way overpowered. This is understandable to me. The thing that was fine for me was that, and the way that I've always looked at weapon tuning and nerfing, is that as an exotic weapon, it is, in my opinion, designed to be OP, because that is the nature of specialty weapons. Exotic weapons, they are designed to feel more powerful than your current weapons. In the last nerf, I felt like they nerfed it in such a way that it was made less power than even your base legendary weapon. And so it didn't even do for me what it needed to do. And there were a lot of legendary weapons that I would pick after the nerf, post nerf. There were a lot of legendary weapons that I would pick over the Thorn simply because it did not perform the way that it used to, and it had been nerfed well into the ground. So for me, this is a bit weird, only because how much more can you nerf a weapon that's already been nerfed and deemed unusable now at this point, considering the perks that it has on it. And some will argue that it is not unusable, that it still has the tick and the damage over time, and that it does do damage given the right scenarios, which is fine, and again, completely understandable. But it's just my opinion that as an exotic, it did not need to be nerfed, because that is supposed to be the nature of an exotic weapon, that it feels stronger than your regular weapons that you use on a day-to-day basis. So they nerfed it again. They nerfed it again, and the question would be, now as a second nerf has happened to the Thorn, how usable for me? Essentially, it becomes a water pistol. It does no damage at all. We all remember Necrochasm. It does no damage at all because it's been nerfed into the ground where it's almost unusable and then nerfed again. But the argument for that, people, because I do like to listen to both sides and understand both sides before we jump to conclusions. The argument for that is we simply do not know, even with this update, how the Thorn will perform in a Rise of Iron environment. That is the simple argument to that. Even though it has been nerfed and nerfed again, we have not experienced the Thorn in all of its Rise of Iron glory, and so we cannot judge a proverbial Thorn book by the cover when we don't know how it will perform. Even with the second nerf on this weapon, it may completely perform differently than what we knew the Thorn to perform after the first nerf. So even though I don't understand this, I will reserve my judgment until I feel it in my digital guardian hands in Rise of Iron, because it may perform fine. It might be fine. We may not notice a difference. This has happened before, where we get all high and mighty and we don't understand while they're making nerfs, and then we get in and everything is fine, and nothing has really changed in a way that is significant or that hinders our playstyle the way we initially thought that it might. Okay, so next up, here is another one, guys. Another one. Universal Remote. Oh my goodness. Let me premise this by saying I used the Universal Remote very recently, or began to use the Universal Remote very recently, excuse me. Began to use it very recently and started to enjoy my time in PvP, running around with the Universal Remote, taking one shot, sometimes two shots, depending on the Guardian I was up against and what their skill level was and what their power level was. Enjoyed using it just recently after Xur recently sold this in the tower. So I've had all of 2 weeks, I believe, to enjoy this weapon running around in the Crucible the way that I've seen other content creators and streamers and my friends use this weapon prior to me getting a second year version of it, because I did have a first year version. I was not able to get a second year version to drop for me, so once Xur was selling it, I hopped on that buy and got it and have been enjoying it ever since. And I have to say that first year I didn't use Universal Remote very much, and I am sad that I didn't, because I enjoyed the second year version so much prior to this upcoming nerf here. So universal remote, here we go. An exotic shotgun not gated by the special ammo economy was already a dangerous tool, but as players honed their mastery over the strong mobility options Destiny has to offer, a hair-pulling combination was born. A range reduction helps bring the efficiency of these sorts of tactics down a bit. Now here's where it gets a little bit hairy, because I would have been, even though I was just starting to get to enjoy the second year version of this weapon, I would have been fine with a nerf by way of a small reduction in range, because I know what kind of threat this weapon can pose inside and outside of Crucible. And so I would have been fine with a small reduction. But the reduction that they choose to give was an exotic perk range bonus reduced by 75%. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. 75%. That is a lot, guys. That is over half its range, power, and ability to cause any type of threat in a Crucible PvP situation. And it's significant. It is significant. It's significant in such a way that you almost want to think that this weapon now will be completely unusable as a specialty weapon within the Crucible universe inside of Destiny. You might still be able to have fun with it in certain situations, but as a overall tactic, the way that it has been used in weeks and months past becomes completely useless. It's just, you can't. That much of a range reduction. I mean, you have to be kissing your opposing Guardian. I gotta be thinking. You have to be close enough to literally jump on top of them and hump them to even get this gun to work in a way that's going to get you any sort of kill or points on the board inside of the Crucible. So, I mean, I am not upset with it. Don't get me wrong, I am not upset with this change, but I am surprised at how much of a change they chose to take and what route they chose to take when nerfing this weapon. And so I want you guys to be aware that the universal remote that you used to know may not be the universal remote that you used to know. It's going to feel significantly different. And rightfully so, if this nerf has anything to do with it and is truthful in a way that is going to hinder your playstyle while you're in the Crucible here. So, I mean, I want to know what you guys think about that. That is not the only weapon I wanted to go over, but I want to know what you guys think about those two changes in particular, and want to know your opinion, and how do you feel it's going to change your play styles. Next up, and the last one that I wanted to go over, not the last one, I take that back. I'll take it back. The second to the last one, which is a positive one here, No Time to Explain. Now, this weapon, since the beginning of its induction into our hands in the Destiny universe by way of first a simply rare weapon that we received at the end of the first campaign inside of Destiny, where the stranger gives us her rifle and we get to take it and run with it and use it. And then of course in year 2 it was changed into a legendary weapon, and we could run around and use it. And then in the second half of year 2, I believe, it was changed into an exotic, and it's a very comprehensive weapon, very fun to use inside and outside of the Crucible. Auto fire, it's a pulse rifle, it feels good, but they chose to add another perk on top of it. Even though it felt good, there were other pulse rifles, of course, Hawksaw, that people would choose, that Guardians would choose over this weapon, even with the perks that it had been given. simply because those weapons felt better, and that's completely understandable. But the No Time Explain was meant to be a significant weapon. I gotta think, given its significance in the first campaign and the way that it's evolved over the time that we've gotten to experience Destiny and this weapon. So they've added a perk, and that perk is Headseeker. This is going to make this a serious threat because it is going to enhance the way that you are able to aim down sights and take on a target, whether you're inside or outside of the Crucible again. And so that is a significant change and an added bonus and a welcome bonus, because I'm excited to get back into the game and use this weapon and be a threat with the No Time to Explain, because it has sentimental value. And anything that has sentimental value, you'll want to use, you'll want to be a part of, you want to participate in. And so that, I believe, is what the No Time to Explain in weeks to come will be for us. Next up, the last one, the real last one that I wanted to go over here, was sniper rifles. Now, as a person who loves sniper rifles and who tends to use them heavily in PvP, heavily in PvE, and not so much in PvP until recently, because I wanted to get good with sniper rifles myself on a personal level. I wanted to get good with them in PvP. I used to hate going into PvP Crucible matches and getting lit up with headshots from good snipers. I always would say, I wish I could do that. I wish I could just get those headshots in. Look how quick that was. Look at how fast I went down. Rooting for the other guy that just splattered my brains all over the wall. But I wanted to get good with it, and so I wanted to premise it by saying that first, and also saying that 1,000-Yard Stare is one of my favorite snipers, if not close to being my favorite. I am a Black Spindle baby since I was able to finally procure myself one months ago. I have loved that weapon, but when I got the 1,000-Yard Stare that I got with Firefly and the range perks that I was able to get on that weapon, it became my baby, and I loved using it. And so what we'll see here with sniper rifles, and I'll get right to the change here, is a reduced damage on mid to high impact 1,000-Yard Stare family sniper rifles by 6.95%. Now, that is a very minimal change with sniper rifles that are very widely used inside of Destiny. It may be significant, it may be noticeable, but I very much doubt that it's going to be so noticeable that those weapons are going to be unusable the way that they did with the universal remote. So while I hate to see any type of nerf happen to any type of favorite weapon of mine, including a sniper, and this of course includes the favorited longbow synthesis that I still do not have, but that does fall into the 1,000-Yard Stare family. While this has happened to the sniper rifles, I don't feel like it's going to be a significant change where people will start to want to stop using those particular weapons. In fact, I still believe that people will use them and still love them and still favor those weapons, and they'll be fine. So that is all I wanted to go over. Like I said, there were tons of changes within this last update here, this weapon tuning update, and I want to know all of your thoughts. I want to know what you guys think. I just wanted to go over those because those have a significant bearing on my playstyle in particular, and so I wanted to know what you guys think about that, just in case you had any comments, concerns on those weapons in particular, like I do, or if you had any comments about any of the other changes that may impact your playstyle. Let me know what you think. It's your boy Said Jay. This will be one of a few videos that I plan on doing regarding this last update here, so I hope that you like you subscribe, you view the videos, comment below. It's your boy Said Jay. You know what you can do. Find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, and I will see you all back in the realm, the galaxy, the universe. That is Destiny. Until next time, sorry for the long video. Wanted to go over the updates with you. I'll see you Guardians later.